Australian museum website that uses the science to bust through the myths about climate change. What I suggest is that you don't have to convince every single person. You just have to convince key decision makers, and that your parents may be the last person to convince. Does net zero passive design, how do you find clients? You have to educate them about how exciting it is. You have to have your pitch down about how exciting it is, and how by rolling the cost into the mortgage, they get a net positive cash flow. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you may not have considered it, but we can give you a net zero home that's going to reduce the volatility of your utility costs. And in fact, you're going to get money for what you're going to produce in energy, and it ends up being less costly to live there and roll it out on the mortgage than if you didn't do that. And if architects here and you guys don't know how to do that calculation, that needs to be put into your curriculum. Okay, let me take them down.
I got one thing to note on that, and it's one thing that I'm trying to start to build and do in my own home city, which is, I live in Rowe, which is a suburb of Detroit, and it's one of the more stylish communities as well as higher end communities. And there's a lot of old houses that they're tearing down and building up new houses. And I see them, and I see, just in looking at them from the outside, how inefficient they are. For example, they put up single hung windows with one screen on it. If you just required all the builders to make double hung windows with full screens, you can get cross ventilation going and only need the AC at best maybe 2 weeks out of a Michigan summer. For those who want to really be comfortable. I did it in my own house with passive strategies. And I don't even have AC. But what I wanted to do is somehow, and I'm slowly doing it, connecting with the planning board and the commissioners in requiring all new houses to be like either Energy Star or Lead Homes design.
Systemic thinking. Change the codes, right?
Because it's hard to, people are going to want to buy a new house that they don't have to touch. The premium, you can convince them, okay, the premium's 5 to 10% on it, but you get your payback within this. Not only is it 5 to 10% higher, but that means that the value of the house is now higher. The city now makes more on tax payments. They have more money to put back into services. The homeowners around it now, because that house is worth more, now their house prices rise. So they get more money out of the ability to sell their houses or to get home improvement loans, which again increases tax flow, goes back. So it's a whole net positive thing for everything, but it's a slow process of trying to get this going. But it's one of those things that all of you can take back to your own homes, your own communities, and start to engage.
Push, push, push. And you can look up the codes that exist in other places around the country and say they're doing it, how come we're behind? I got 3 quick questions that were asked I want to answer. So, Rodolfo, in Grand Rapids, you want to look at the Regional Center of Expertise, look at grpartnership.org. They are doing fantastic work in Grand Rapids on sustainability. They're just look up Regional Centers of Expertise in Grand Rapids, or go talk to Norm Stevens or the mayor. Any of them will get you involved. Somebody asked about interior design. You can't be a school of interior design anymore. You can't get accredited unless you have sustainability in the curriculum. And so go look at Cradle to Cradle and Bill McDonough's work, but also look at the Interior Design National Association, whatever it's called. They're doing all sorts of cool stuff. How do I find a sustainable engineering job that isn't just entering data into Excel? Yeah, I so get that. Well, that's a long conversation, but if you do end up with that kind of a job, will you also volunteer at the American Society for Engineering Education? Go talk to Bill Kelly. He's the sustainability guy there, and he's old. He needs people to be volunteering with him. And now you'll have a national view. So whether or not you believe in climate change, which is kind of like saying whether or not you believe 2 + 2 = 4, it still makes sense, all these solutions. So build your voice and go forward. I think we need to stop, right? We need to stop. So we need to stop. I'm glad to talk to everybody, or you can continue this as you guys walk. Now, thank you.
इसका I think Michelle got it from
Waste
Hicks.
of time, don't worry.